If there's one thing that many people can agree upon, it's that games with fishing are great. Titles like Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, and Cult of the Lamb, just to name a few. But games that are just purely about fishing are even better. Much harder to come by, but I found a few good ones, like Fantasy Fishing Town and Luna's Fishing Garden. If you know of any good games that are just about fishing, please let me know in the comments. I love fishing games. Nothing quite hits like casting your line, patiently waiting, and then getting that rush of dopamine when you get a bite to reel it in. And it's trash. Oh well, let's do it all over again. And then a few more times over the next several hours. Can't forget to upgrade your fishing rod and buy better bait. Before you know it, it's been 7 hours, the sun has gone down, and you've completely forgotten to eat dinner. Whoops. But one of the most recent newcomers to the fishing scene has taken gamers and streamers by storm. Web fishing sports a similar character design to that of the villagers in Animal Crossing, and a fishing mechanic that nearly anyone can understand. The overwhelming overwhelmingly positive rated $5 Steam game has created the ultimate social space where players can not only fish, but also customize their character, explore the map for hidden spots, and collect various items and upgrades. But the social element of the game is key. Players can interact by making silly animal noises or typing in the in-game chat room, but lots of players are opting to use Discord voice channels to create an even more immersive experience. But fear not, introverts and people who have no friends. If socializing isn't your thing and all you want to do is catch fish, you can play the game completely solo. But let's dive a little deeper and talk more about web fishing and what it has in store for the future. Web fishing is developed by Lame Developer, also known as West. But before the game made it to over 12,000 positive reviews, web fishing started out as a free itch game that was made in only 8 days for Goody's Autumn Game Jam of 2022, apparently just 6 minutes shy of the deadline. It placed 43rd out of 369 entries with an overall rating of 3.75, but it did place 7th for the Cozy score with a rating of 4.33. West wouldn't come back to working on the game until June of this year, deciding to rewrite it from the ground up. It was officially added to Steam to be wishlisted on August 14th and became available for purchase on October 11th. Since its release, West has doubled their Twitter following, the Reddit page has 6.1 thousand members, and the Discord server has over 16,000 members and counting. Nearly every time I refresh the server, there are at least 1 to 2 new members. The server isn't just some hub for people to ask questions either. With 8 voice channels for members to group up in, and several channels dedicated to questions and support, lobby code sharing, and fan art, there's always a conversation happening somewhere in this server. But what could be going on in this game that captivated so many people? Starting with, what is the main game mechanic of web fishing? Well, obviously it's fishing. The game starts you off with a straightforward tutorial: WASD to move, space to jump, shift to sprint, classic controls. Stand next to a body of water and cast your line. With a combination of holding and mashing your left mouse button, you reel in your fish. Sell whatever you catch to this fox? I think it's a fox. I'm not too sure actually. And that's the basics. After the tutorial, you spawn into the main town square area with a quest board, a vending machine, and the general store, where you can purchase upgrades, hooks, and bait, as well as different accessories for your character, like facial changes, clothes, and titles. On the quest board, you'll find, you guessed it, quests. Catching fish from certain bodies of water like the lake or ocean, filling your journal with fish of a particular quality, or catching increasing quantities of certain fish. Along with receiving cash for completing these quests, there are a multitude of item rewards.
Buy scratch-off tickets and spend all of your money now. All right, let me finish this catch real quick, and I got you. We have 9,837. You really want me to buy all of these, dude? Okay, I'm gonna buy a bunch. We just spent $10,000 on scratch-off tickets in web fishing. Fishillionaire, come on, baby. Ooh, hey, first ticket, 250 bucks. That's a W right there. There, bro. Let's go again. Ooh, 200 on that one. Beautiful. Come on, baby. Give me something good here. Let's go. Come on. 100 bucks. Yo, that's 3 winners in a row. Can we keep the hot streak alive? Ooh, our first loss. Has anyone actually won the 1 million off of one of these yet? Hey, oh, that's 1,000. Oh, we just got a $1,000 winner. Yo, let's go. Yo, a 500 and a, wait, oh, it's 600. Nice. Oh, a 2,000. I've never seen that before. We lost 3,000.
YouTube is officially out of touch with reality, and it's not even funny anymore. From increasing the duration of ads, to increasing the price of YouTube Premium to more than 20 bucks per month. And YouTube is apparently considering hiding the view count and upload data videos. First things first, let's talk about YouTube ads. The duration of today's YouTube ads is unacceptable. As a matter of fact, the main reason as to why I'm making this video in the first place is because yesterday night, I was in the living room on my TV trying to watch this ASMR video from this Asian girl with 2 big soccer balls. And you know, I had one hand on my beef Wellington and the other hand on my remote. And when I went to click on one of her videos, I was greeted with a 60-second ad. The owner said, How crazy a 60-second ad is? Bruh, that's enough for me to give myself the hack tour, bust peanut, eat it, and the ad is still gonna be playing. You understand how ridiculous what I just said is? But that's the world we live in nowadays. And I'm sure all of you guys watching this video right now have noticed how obnoxious YouTube ads have gotten recently. Actually, I don't know what you're talking about. You see, I'm a 200 IQ Rick and Morty watcher, and I use what's called an ad blocker. I've yet to see any of those ads. Well, don't you worry, because YouTube's here to cuck all of us equally. Not only is YouTube introducing their own video blocker to fight against ad blockers, but they've also started to inject server-sided ads into videos in order to circumvent ad blocking. For example, here's one of those server-sided injected ads that someone had the pleasure of getting. And of course, because YouTube wants to make sure that your experience on the platform is as AIDS as possible, they had to make sure to give him a 2-minute unskippable ad. Bro, imagine being forced to watch this punchable face yap for a whole 2 minutes. I don't know about you, but I would crash out. And of course, color me surprised, but just from reading the subtitles of this injected virus, and I hate to tell you this, but you've been overpaying for years. Well, if we combine what we just read with this punchable face of his, something tells me that this guy might just be one of those scam artists who promise you efficient, secret ways of saving money just to end up selling you an overpriced $1,000 course that's probably filled with nothing but Nickel Avocado's dookie. But the length of YouTube ads nowadays might just be as horrible as Twitch ads. You know, I used to go on Twitch on a daily basis. And for those who don't know, Twitch is a streaming platform known for its family-friendly content. But if any of you watching this video right now is someone who goes on Twitch, then you know how obnoxious Twitch ads are. You'll literally be watching a streamer for 5 minutes, and then out of nowhere, you'll be forced to watch 2 minutes of ads.
Run, 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 run. Run away, run away, run and get away from the boss.
If my internet
I'm going to
during the
bed.
live show, well, we wouldn't have a show anymore, and that is
I'm
not
so
good.
sick of this.
I've never had an interruption.
I'm
during
going
the
to
show.
bed. This is ridiculous. This is outrage. I gotta go to sleep, guys. I'll see you guys later. I don't know if I'm even gonna be able to go to sleep.
That's literally the reason as to why I personally stopped going on Twitch. And I know you guys have started to notice this, but what's happening on Twitch is starting to happen on YouTube. Just a few years ago, you used to be able to skip any YouTube ads in 5 seconds. But nowadays, you have to wait a whole 15 seconds to skip. ad to get to the next ad. You know how people say things get better as time goes on? Well, that's complete BS. Someone tell me right now how going from one 5-second ad to this is better for us. Let me make this clear. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is important enough on YouTube for me to literally sit through a 60-second ad of this punchable face yapping about nonsense just to be able to watch the video I wanted to watch in the first place. Smash like if you agree. There's this
I was gonna start this video a while.
In this game, you catch fish, and even more fish. And in the next 50 hours, my goal is to unlock every item, reach max level, completely fill out one of my collection journals, and to catch over 4,000 fish. And during what I assumed was going to be a relaxing time of fishing, turned into something a bit more hectic. But in order to reach any of those goals, we have to first catch our very first fish. Tap to open your backpack. Click your fishing rod to equip it. Okay. With your fishing rod out, hold left click, charge, and release your cast. Don't say a word. Nope. Okay. This one, which is the size of the pier. And then we have this one. Both the same creature. just pulled that out. If that was out of a bucket, that's crazy. Are you serious? You just got a golden manta from a bucket? What the heck? That's crazy. I don't think this is that good. 1500 4-star. Oh, okay, well. Okay, I guess it's decent. It's not bad. Wow, that's a new one. That's a new Radiant to the collection. My Radiant collection's actually getting close now. I have 3 left in saltwater, 2 left in and miscellaneous, and that's it. Oh, it's ridiculous when you get down to just one fish. Like in any, like if it's alpha, like if I had 1 fish left and it was an alpha something, like that's like 1 in like a couple thousand chance. I think 100% in this game would take a couple hundred hours, unless I got insanely lucky. Wait, this could actually, there's a chance this is a gar. Is that a 3-star gar over there? I got a stupid turtle. That's a 3-star? Oh, that's ridiculous. Wait, this is a good count. Please, please let this be it. Please, please, it's so close. It's another golden bass. Oh, it's another golden bass. That's another 1 out of 600. Oh. 4 golden bass. I mean, we're now 2 away from the golden sunglasses. That's a nice gar you have. That's not opulent, though. That's ridiculous. I've caught more bass not using the golden hook than I did using the golden hook. Hold up. I might, after this ring. Rain, I might play sap and then just make this small in the corner. I think I'm satisfied. Fish away from a normal collection, found 5, did what any sensible person would do. And I decided to scratch either of those plans and continue searching for the 6th golden bass, as well as fully collecting everything with the metal detector so that I could get a pretty sweet thumbnail. And once getting that done, I ended off my 50-hour journey by catching my 4,000th fish. And I sold everything off to see how much money I was going to end up with. Peglin is a pachinko roguelike deck builder, where you play as this thing. You throw orbs down a pit, and the more pegs you bounce into, the more damage you will deal. And in order to 100% this game, I'll have to beat every single boss, buy out entire storefronts, deal over 9,000 damage, and even beat the hardest difficulty, which apparently no one has been able to do yet. So join me in what I'm going to convince myself of as the very first time anyone has ever 100% Peglin. In Peglin, as with most other roguelikes, beating the game once, it's not really the point. After getting a successful win, you unlock a harder difficulty, and after beating that, you can unlock an even harder difficulty, with the highest difficulty being level 20, which is the achievement that no one has been able to get yet. So I think our best course of action is to start working our way there, and to try and unlock as many achievements as we can along the way. Throughout Peglin, there are a handful of achievements that will just happen naturally. Things such as dealing the exact amount of damage needed to defeat an enemy, or dealing 1 damage. After enough orbs have flown down the board, we will get these with no problem. And then there will also be some achievements that need a specific build to get, such as the multi-baller achievement, where we have to have 16 orbs on the screen at once. And thanks to the Matryorbshka, which will split up into multiple orbs at once, and the duplication station, which splits those orbs up even further, with both of those combined, we can get all 16 orbs that we need. While traversing through Peglin, there are a handful of enemies that we can face. There are normal fights, such as these little slimes, which will allow us to collect some money, upgrade our orbs, and even purchase new ones. Then there are elite monsters like the Minotaur we just faced, and this big slime mama, which do the same thing as the normal encounters, except on top of all of the normal things, we can also unlock a relic, which are extremely important in completing any run in Peglin, especially when facing off against the higher difficulties. The next potential achievement is one that is quite hard to pull off, but involves getting a random tree encounter. We then shake the tree and add an egg to our bag. The egg in Peglin, it's technically an orb, but it only has one use the entire game, and it is just meant to be a one-time heal. But the achievement Extravaganza can only be unlocked if we win a run with 2 eggs in our bag. So every time we encounter the egg, we're going to add it to our bag and hope that we can eventually duplicate it and end a run with both of them. And after grabbing the egg, we make our way to the first boss. In Peglin, there are 3 total zones: the forest, castle, and the mines, each of which have 3 bosses, making for 9 total bosses in the game, which are all achievements. And the first one we face off against is Leshy, which in my opinion, even though it's the first zone of the game, is probably the hardest boss we will ever have to face. Every turn, Leshy will alternate between 2 different moves. One turn, she will deal 6 damage to you, and the next turn, she will place down 2 vines on the board. When throwing an orb, it can hit a peg that the vine is connected to in order to break the vine, or if it touches the vine itself, we will take damage. As well as get our orb stuck, which will end our turn. Since this is the very first difficulty, Leshy isn't too big of a problem. But the vines that get placed down every other turn can ramp up extremely quickly and can very easily overwhelm us, and since it is only the first zone, most builds don't have that many ways of healing, if any. So every single time an orb will get stuck in a vine, it is more damage that stacks up. But thankfully, with the use of the Matryorbshka, I am able to take down the first boss and gain the achievement for defeating Leshy. The next zone in Peglin is the castle, which contains a lot of knights, archers, mages, and can be extremely tricky to navigate unless we have ways of doing damage to multiple enemies. Bombs, which damage all enemies when thrown, or pierce orbs, which damage all enemies, are extremely strong at defeating the castle, as most normal fights consist of knights with shields in front of archers and mages in the back, which can damage us at any distance. But thanks to orbs like the Bold Orb, which have pierce, it can make the castle so much easier. We also run into an encounter to duplicate our egg, which now means that the Extravaganza achievement is possible. All we have to do is win this run and not throw our egg, which will only be an issue if we get them back to back and can't discard one. The castle boss we face off against first is the Demon Wall, which does not do any damage, but instead will slowly walk towards us, and once it is within melee range, will swallow us and end our run. And luckily for us, just after getting our second egg, we do have it back to back. So not only do we have to defeat the wall in a limited number of turns, if we can't beat it before we get to our eggs, our chances of the Extravaganza are all over. But thank goodness we are just in our first run and the wall doesn't have that much health yet and isn't really an issue. We then head to the Mines, which is the final zone in Peglin and also the most dangerous. Of all the enemies, they have extremely high health, can do a ton of damage, and each board has something that can make it really frustrating. And typically, if our build is strong enough, we just want to avoid as many fights as we can, as after beating the boss of the mines, our run is over. The first boss we face in the mines is the Super Sapper, which has a strong strategy around throwing bombs, and can be quite tricky to defeat, especially if we haven't found any healing yet. But luckily for us, we have the Meat Bone, which will heal us every reload, and the Crystal, which can steal life from any opponent that we want. And with that, our very first run is over. We already have 6 achievements, with one of them being the Extravaganza, which is already one of the hardest ones to get. After completing our first run, the Crucible is now unlocked, and with each level of the Crucible comes increased difficulty, with the first level already making things a bit more difficult. It gives us an extra peb ball as well as making them weaker on any crit they get. But in Crucible 1, we get a good run going with the Swoltorb, which will increase the damage of every single peg it hits. And we go up against the Slime boss, which places slime all over the board and continuously attacks us every turn until it eventually sucks us up in an attempt to do even more damage. The next boss is in the castle, and it's the Pigment of Imagination, which is quite strange. The way this boss works is that every other turn, if it can, it will create paintings, which each turn, the pegs below them into permanent pegs, meaning that no matter how many times they are hit, they will never break. And the only way to make these pegs normal again is to destroy the paintings. The only catch is that the paintings, when destroyed, will poison us. But it's not a problem at all, because permanent pegs, they aren't annoying to deal with, so we can just ignore the paintings altogether and just attack the boss and win pretty easily. The mine boss for this run is Thesaurus the Avaricious Dragon. Yes, that's the name, which it can be quite difficult to deal with. This boss has a giant mound of golden pegs that it is trying to protect, and after a few turns it will try to suck us in by making one of the pits at the bottom of the board pull our orbs towards it. Thesaurus the Avaricious Dragon will then start to breathe fire, which will not only damage us, but also set some of its own pegs on fire, which will deal damage whenever they are hit. But thanks to the oboe, which reduces all damage by 1, and the fire doing only 1 damage at a time, this boss isn't a problem at all. In this game, all of the bosses, they check for some specific strategy that can easily beat it. The wall, for example, doesn't care if we have healing, and just requires us to be able to dish out a ton of damage. But Thesaurus the Avaricious Dragon can equally dish out a lot of damage, but instead can be beaten very easily with healing. This isn't the only way to beat these bosses, but as things start to ramp up in the Crucible, being able to have things in our build to counter very specific bosses and even elites later on is the best way to win in high-up Crucibles. But as we are still in Crucible 1, most builds can just win. In Crucible 2, we go up against the Mole Boss, which is the final of the 3 forest bosses that we have to beat, and in my opinion, it's probably the easiest. The main mechanic with the Mole Boss is that it hides behind a tree, which has a massive amount of health. Then every third turn, it will dig underground, allowing us 1 turn to attack it as well as it to attack us for a decent amount of damage. Typically, the best way to deal with the mole is to set up our strongest orb when it is on our side of the tree, or by using things such as bombs or pierce in order to damage the mole even when it is being protected. But since there is an achievement to destroy the tree while facing off against the mole, all of those strategies don't really matter, since we have to defeat both the mole and the tree in order to get the achievement. Another achievement that happens naturally when playing the game is the achievement to leave an opponent at 1 health point. And normally it isn't worth trying to play around, as after doing a couple of runs, we'll get it. The next achievement I went for was to have an orb bounce only between slime pegs 7 times before touching anything else. And all I needed to do was to add as many ways to produce slime in my deck and just hope they would hit 7 in a row at some point. But by going for this achievement, I realized that slime might be one of the strongest things in this game and could potentially be one of the builds that I go for when going for the higher up Crucible levels, and will soon prove to be a very consistent build at going against just about every boss in the game. There's an extremely annoying elite in the mines named Peg Time, which starts the round off with only refresh and crit pegs on the board. But every time one is hit, more pegs will be added and can be an extremely difficult elite to go up against. Most throws will only hit 1 or 2 pegs for the first handful of throws, allowing for Pegta to dish out a ton of damage. But one good thing about this fight is that the achievement to deal 1 damage can be done fairly easily, just by hitting 1 peg with a weak orb and it immediately flying. Down to the bottom. In Peglin, there are a handful of status effects, which can be given through the use of orbs and relics. You have Spinfection, which is basically poison, Ball Work, which is shield, and Bramball, which will hold enemies in place. And there are some achievements that revolve around these status effects, with one of them being to gain a total of 100 or more Ball Work in a single battle. Of all the ways to gain armor in this game, the Bucklorb is one of the most consistent. At max level, every 10 pegs it hits, we will gain 4 ball work, which typically isn't enough on its own to get us to 100, as every time an enemy damages us, some of that shield will go away. But when going up against the wall who never deals damage until it tries to swallow us, it can be pretty easy to build up 100 shield. Just winning the fight after doing that is going to be the hard part. Another achievement that is going to get more difficult as the Crucible levels go on is to defeat any boss on the first turn. And in this run, we have a really strong bomb build going, and with the use of Sapper Sack, which turns all of our bombs into red bombs and makes them deal 300 damage a piece, and the Bombulet, which doubles all bombs on the board. When going up against the final boss, the entire board is basically red bombs, and by hitting enough, we are able to do enough damage to win in a single turn, as well as finish off Crucible 5. Trying to knock out a couple of extra achievements, I decided to clear out an entire pegboard, and then once unlocking the Christomalos Fleece, I started working towards the critical thinking achievement. The Christomalos Fleece, whenever